As a bunch of you probably already saw, if you play Duel Links, there is a new ban list in Duel Links, and it's pretty exciting. Now, I didn't talk about it exactly like the first day that it came out. It's been a couple days now, and the reason is that this isn't a Duel Links channel, so don't feel it's super necessary to do everything the day it comes out. But the ban list is pretty exciting, and it gives a lot of talking points. Also, I'm going to complain about the Duel Links UI on the Steam version briefly, so look forward to that. Anyway, what's important to know about the ban, this isn't the right screen, I think it's sorry, it's the other one. It's a little update thing. Gosh, there's so many, and I'm gonna complain about this as well, but there's so many screens on Duel Links, it's impossible to find anything. What's important to note though about the ban lists in Duel Links is that for limited cards or semi-limited cards, it's not that the card is limited to 2 copies. I mean, it is, but it's in the semi-limited pool. You can only use 2 copies total of any of those cards. So it's very different from the TCG. That actually is an interesting idea and maybe would work in the TCG. Obviously, you'd have to have a much smaller ban list. But what's important about this is that the limited cards in Duel Links really don't matter that much. Usually, I mean, so far the limited cards on Duel Links are all like really specific to certain strategies. The semi-limited cards are where it gets really difficult from a deck building standpoint, specifically because enemy controller is semi-limited, and that's like one of the best cards. So anytime, and we'll see here some semi-limited cards, anytime Konami semi-limits a card, it's really just asking yourself or asking the player, is this card more worthwhile than enemy controller? And that's a lot to ask of some decks because enemy controller is really good. I will mention the skill rebalancing. This is going to happen pretty soon, August 21st. Well, between August 21st and August 24th. All they changed for this part is that beatdown no longer affects monsters that are lower than level 5. Does this change a lot? Not really. It still means that using Beat to summon Dyna is still an OTK because you have 2800 plus 1200. Other than that, though, I mean, it does change some of the smaller for higher OTKs where you had like Donpa and then Dyna, or you have the, I don't even know what the other one's like Recon or Scout or something. The 500 attack one and Dyna no longer an OTK. So I guess that is a nice change. It's not super relevant. I think maybe that's more like future proofing, just because the card is badly designed, and maybe with in the introduction of like synchros and also the introduction of Mermail Abyss Megalo a little bit later, which I think is coming out at the end of the month. Yeah, that might have facilitated a lot of OTKs, so just kind of future proofing there. That's not super important though. What is important is the Forbidden and Limitless changes, which is only 3 cards. I think 2 of them will get spoiled as soon as we open this. Oh no, I guess not. So on the first one, we have only 1 limited card, and it is Dyna Hero for Hire. This monster, oh, I should mention that Konami actually does, on Duel Links, list their reasoning for every single card. Once again, I don't know why they don't do that for the TCG. That'd be really cool. And also, you have 2 weeks before this goes into effect, so it goes into effect on August 29th. So this monster will be limited, as decks for hire are currently dominant in the metagame, and this monster allows decks for hire to be advantageous in battle. Wow, they really had to fit the same pun twice into this one thing. That description actually really doesn't make any sense. I mean, it makes sense, it's just super vague. In the past, I've done like more descriptive things for why these cards got limited. Basically, Dyna is just too big. Personally, what my ban list wish list was for Duel Links was to semi-limit both of the big for hire monsters. I thought that would have been a pretty cool idea. Obviously, I'm a little biased because at the moment I think Wiz is like a one of, but it's a card that I don't want my opponents to summon because I'm playing spellbooks. This doesn't change too much, right? Dyna, I think, is usually just a 2 of. I haven't played for hire, but just looking at the deck list that I've played against, it's usually a 2 of. Maybe some people are playing 3, but I feel like in most cases, people are playing 2 Dyna and 1 Wiz, so making Dyna limited doesn't really matter that much. It means you will see it a lot less, other than if you open Beat. And in the case of opening Beat, to get to the Dyna, you actually have to open Beat and then another low level for hire monster, and then you can search Dyna, then special summon it. So if you just open Beat and like Wiz, that doesn't search to Dyna. I mean, it does, but doesn't get it on the board. This card I know is pretty annoying for a lot of decks that aren't spellbooks though, so I understand why it's limited. It's also worth mentioning that I think some people mention that Konami doesn't hit anything above a rare if it comes out of a box, so that's why this is hit. And spoiler alert, Beat is not hit. So if we scroll down to the semi-limited, we have the other for hire card that got hit, which is Donpa. This is one that destroys face-up cards, and their reasoning is this monster will be semi-limited as for-hire decks are currently dominant in the metagame. Okay, that's the exact same thing. These descriptions are usually better than this, and this monster's effect allows for-hire decks to attack directly with ease. That part is true. This card is really annoying, and it's one of the cards that facilitates so many OTKs, not only with these two cards just like breaking your opponent's board, but also when you have beatdown pre-nerf, you could then summon Dampa, summon Dyna, pop a card, and then use beatdown, and you would have 4100 damage or 4200 damage. I guess it'd be 4100. So that's a pretty big deal, but now that doesn't work. It doesn't work for a couple reasons. Beatdown's obviously now a raw dud, although that change will come like a week earlier than these changes, which means that I think actually this coming week is like the worst time to be ranking up because everyone's going to want to be playing for hires at full power. I think the week after will be pretty good because beatdown will be nerfed and the deck's a lot more manageable. Then obviously when the next season happens, that's really good as well. But Dampa is a big deal. This is a big deal because, like I said earlier, anytime a card gets semi-limited, it creates this interesting conundrum where is this card better than Econ? And obviously you have to play this card instead of Econ. And pretty much every single deck that I've seen with semi-limited cards, no one's ever taken like one copy of something and then one copy of another something. They pretty much just play two of one of them and then zero of the other. So I don't think people are just going to play one Dampa and one Econ. I think people are just going to play two Dampa and then just cut Econ. But that's a big deal. I mean, that's a really, really big deal. Pretty much every time that you see me playing against for hires with Spellbooks, the one card that I don't want them to have is Econ, because if I summon Blue Boy and then the Econ to steal it, now I just have to pass because I can't summon Silent Mission, I can't activate Master, I can't activate Fate, all that sort of stuff. So now that Econ's out of it, it makes this deck aggressive still. Like, don't get me wrong, this deck's still gonna be really good. Maybe not so much when the next box comes out, but for the time being, this deck still is gonna be pretty good. What makes the difference is this deck has now lost a lot of defense. It'll play cards like Wall Disruption, maybe it'll play cards like Widespread Ruin, and obviously they still have Mayhem. That card's not, I mean, it's kind of defensive because it summons a guy, but it's not really like, it's more like a card that you want to use in your opponent's end phase. But yeah, with Dampa, semi-limited means that they basically can't play Econ, so this is pretty much banning Econ for the for hire deck. I think that'll make a big difference. Some people are saying these hits aren't enough. These are only two for hire hits. I actually disagree. I do think this is enough in combination with the new box coming out. I think Mermails will just be a better deck, even with the limited leaks that we've already seen. Now, the only other change on this list is Amazon's Baby Tiger, which says this monster will be limited as it can. Oh, I mean semi-limited, as it can be easily special summoned from the hand or graveyard, allowing Amazon's decks to establish a field presence quickly. That's basically true. Personally, I never found this card to be an issue. I always either had a Treacherous to kill it, or obviously Fate just sort of plows through all the Amazon's cards. This card was annoying though. However, putting this card as semi-limited is basically banning it, because in the Amazoness deck, you're not just competing against Econ, which they can't play, you're actually competing against Amazoness Onslaught, which is the only reason the deck is even playable in Duel Links, and it's actually like the best card in the entire deck. So putting Amazoness Baby Tiger to 2 is basically banning it. Now, they haven't banned any cards in Duel Links, they just take the limited, semi-limited approach. Or have they banned cards? I don't know, we'll see in a second, because I screenshotted the ban list. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see in a second. I'm pretty sure no cards are banned, but I'll double check. I'm only confused because it says forbidden limited list. So like, if it says forbidden list, you would assume some cards would be forbidden. Anyway, putting Amazon's Baby Target to semi-limited basically bans a card, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of a weird result of like the Duel Links ban list being this way. And this is kind of already showing like the issues with this setup and why it's not implemented like this in the TCG, is that when you have a deck that wants to play like 3 semi-limited cards, well, 2 of them are essentially just banned forever. So this is kind of a weird hit. I guess I like sort of understand it, but it is kind of killing Amazoness, because now they can't play Econ, which is a really good card. Now they can't play Baby Tiger, which is a really card for just keeping board presence and making sure that the Onslaught's always banishing stuff. Yeah, it'll be kind of tough for Amazoness to be good with the upcoming changes on its ban list. So that's the only 3 changes. Taking down the 2 best decks. No spellbooks didn't get hit, nothing like that, even though they're like the best deck according to a lot of you guys. No, but this is just only changes. What is interesting is that it is almost impossible to find a full ban list, and actually I do think it is impossible on the PC version of this game, because what you can do is you can go here and you can see the last changes. which is cool. You can kind of go through and be like, oh, what did they hit on June 26th? And this is actually funny because this ban list is the ban list that I made the video about before, when I wasn't playing Duel Links, and now I like sort of understand that Econ probably was ridiculous at 3 and Onslaught probably was ridiculous at 3, but a lot of these cards looking back actually do make a lot of sense now that I've played this game. But you can't really see a full ban list. I'll tell you where you're supposed to be able to see it if you go to Card Studio, because I know someone's going to comment like, oh, DZ, if you're wrong, you can see it. If you go to Card Studio and then you go into Card Catalog, if you do this on the phone, there is a button that pops up that says Forbidden and Limited List. However, if you do this on the PC version, that button is not there, and that's really frustrating. So there actually, to my knowledge, there's nowhere on the Steam version of this game that actually will show you the ban list in its entirety. You have to individually look at the cards. So while I was editing this video, and after I'd complained about the whole Forbidden Limited List thing on Twitter that I couldn't find it, someone actually did point out that you can find it. It's in the dumbest spot ever. So if you go into the card shop and click a pack, you can then go to Forbidden and Limited List, and it will show you the list here. I still think that pretty much everything I said was true. Like, this is ridiculous. That makes no sense. A spot that it probably should be, and that I'm surprised it's not, is if you go to Settings, there's a section that says Forbidden and Limited, but then when you click it, it just shows you what it means. So I still stand by that, like, Duel Links does have too many menus and that things are hidden. However, I did want to clarify that there actually is a way to find the Forbidden and Limited List on the PC version. I don't know why it's not in the Card Studio like the other version, but honestly, there should just be a section like somewhere on the main page. I think realistically, they should just have it like when you enter the PvP arena, that there's like a section that says like all the Forbidden and Limited List. But I just want to clarify that for anyone that was wondering. I'm sure I will get a couple comments from people saying, oh, it actually is there, even though I just mentioned it right now. But anyway, back to the video. That's super annoying, so luckily I'll bring it up here. I actually did screenshot the ban list from my phone, and what we can learn by looking at this is kind of what I was saying. So the limited cards are all like degenerate combo cards. I actually have no idea why Champion's Vigilance is on here. That makes almost no sense. But the other cards are all degenerate combo cards, and then you have like a bunch of 2-ofs that I kind of mentioned. And you can see kind of what I was talking about with the Amazonas happening with the Cyber Angel deck, which used to be tier 0 and isn't played anymore, because they have 3 cards limited. They have a Ritual Monster, they have Petite Angel, and then they have a Ritual Spell card. Makes it really hard to play. Same thing with Sylvans. They not only have Econ limited, but they also, with the recent ban list, well, recent back in June, they had Rose Lover and Marshleaf semi-limited as well, which means that you basically can only play like one, like you just don't see Sylvan decks in later. I've never played against Sylvan deck because of that reason. So what I wanted to happen is like hit both of the big for hire cards so that you can only play like one of each of them and then no Econ. But what they've done is basically the same thing, just hitting Dampa instead. And yeah, you can kind of see here that like they don't hit a ton of cards that are already in the Amazonas and for hire decks. It's just like, it's almost like the entire game, the entire philosophy of the ban list is centered on like, by semi-limiting Econ, we now can semi-limit any card and basically ban it, but without saying that it's banned, and that's like really interesting to me. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say, though. I think that I think these decks actually would have been power crept depending on what they give us in the next set. We are getting synchros, and I think that Effect Failure could very well come with synchros. I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but I mean, we do have like Stardust Dragon and Black Rose Dragon. Those cards are already confirmed. It doesn't seem too far-fetched that Valor would be added to the game, and like I mentioned in the last when I got to King of Games and I did that whole like 20-minute video or whatever, I talked about how one of the things that I would like to see is Effect Failure, because it's a really good counter to Amazonas and for hire and Spellbooks whenever you go second. I think that cards like that are really important in this game, but a lot of people hate hand traps in TCG, so I'm not sure if they're actually interested in adding that. Anyway, though, that's pretty much going to wrap up what I have to say. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Duel Links discussion video. No, this is not a Duel Links channel, but yes, I do play the game, or at least I'm trying to get to King of Game as many seasons as possible, just to dab on the haters. No, but I do enjoy this game. It's fun to play casually. I haven't played it really since I got King of Games. Once you hit that point, there's not really a lot to do, in my opinion, because I don't really play the PvE stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this ban list, and hopefully at the time of recording this video, the TCG ban list has not been revealed. Hopefully, like soon after this video is made, the TCG ban list will be announced. I'm really hoping for next week. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.